My scripture reading is taken from Matthew's, the 6th chapter, the 21st through the 23rd verse. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. But if thine eye be evil, thy whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee be darkness, how great is that darkness? And thus is the scripture of Matthew, the 6th chapter, 21st through the 23rd verse. And again, I say to you, I am the way, truth, and light. You are the light, truth. You are the way, but you must go within, make that dedication and commitment to your spiritual growth and unfoldment. When one has gone in and recognized and affirmed that I am the light of my life, then that light comes forth as intelligence. Being able to know, to see, to act with clarity, with conviction, with dedication. When thine eye is single and the whole body is filled with light, we recognize one power. The power of God, not only within us, but the power of God that is responsible for the creation of all that there is. When we look at the world, if I can say with our two eyes, we are looking at the world and we are seeing duality. We are seeing good and evil, night and day, up and down. We're seeing so-called power and powerless. We're seeing fear, frustration, destruction, doubt. We're seeing all of those things that belong to the world, those things that are causing distractions. And we're not seeing with clarity. We're not seeing and accepting that everything that is functioning and operating in divine harmony. There is nothing happening or taking place upon the face of the earth that God is not aware of, that the spirit or the consciousness of God is not involved in. There is nothing created, nothing seen or unseen that is separate from the spirit, the creation of God. And so when we can develop that all-seeing eye, when we can look out at life with the single eye, we will be able to see with clarity that all that there is functioning and operating in divine harmony. We cannot walk this spiritual path and in a sense, straddle the fence. We cannot say on one hand it's good and on the other hand it's bad. We have to come to that state of understanding and recognition that all that there is because of God. And before we can see the manifestation and expression of God in the world, we have to first see it in ourselves. We have to first know truth within ourselves. And so when Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the light, he was speaking to you and I as to what it is that we must do within ourselves to rise up to a level of understanding, awareness, and consciousness, and recognizing the Spirit of God within us. You know, for those of us that have come upon this spiritual path, we study a lot of things. And we think that much study will enlighten us. Knowledge is a help. It is good to learn. It is good to know. But we can't go through life saying, I know. We have to be, or we have to become that which we know. If we know and believe that we are spiritual beings, then that is what we have to demonstrate. That is what we have to be. That is what we have to become. Knowing something and not being it or putting it into practice does no good. And I said to you, brothers and sisters, when we study the physical phenomena of things, some get on the path to be or to demonstrate the psychic phenomena, which is all good, as long as the gifts and the talents are used for the upliftment and the betterment of mankind. But I've said for so many years, appreciate those gifts and those talents. But the physical phenomena of life, of those things on the spiritual path, are at the first rung of the ladder. They are kindergarten things, first grade. There is so much power innate in us than just to be satisfied with physical phenomena. As Jesus went about his teaching, demonstrating the healing, the raising of the dead, the withering of the fig tree, and his disciples were so amazed, marveled at the things that he demonstrated. Jesus said to his disciples, greater things than these shall you do. We must get to a point in our growth, our spiritual growth and unfoldment, that we are seeking the greater things that Jesus taught and talked about. We must get to a point in our growth and unfoldment that all that we want to demonstrate and manifest is the Spirit of God within us. We must get to a point in our spiritual growth and unfoldment that we release all negativity, condemnation, and all manner of just things that dwell within us. We have to get to a point, and as to when we look out at the world and all of life, regardless of what is manifesting and demonstrating, we must be able to look beyond the physical appearances and the demonstrations and the manifestations, and recognize within every living creature dwells the divinity of God. If we cannot look out at the world and see the divinity in every living thing, we are also denying the divinity within ourselves. And that is why Jesus said, pray for those that use you and abuse you. Pray for your neighbors. Bless those that have trespassed against you. Because Jesus is saying that when you reach out or look out and pass judgment, when you criticize and condemn, you are not recognizing the Spirit of God within those individuals. All have come upon this plane for a purpose. And the purpose that they are demonstrating and manifesting may not be in accordance to what we believe or what we want to see. But we have to also remember that even the teaching and the giving of Jesus, many did not accept. Because they were not able to see beyond the physical appearances. If we can turn within and recognize or bring forth or develop the single eye within us and recognize that innate spiritual divinity within us, we will be able to see it in all of humanity. Not many of us have come into this earth plane without fault. Not many of us have come into this earth plane and have not made mistakes. Not many of us have come into this earth plane and not have criticized and condemned our fellow man. Now, because we have walked or stepped upon the path of spiritual growth, let us not start to think that we are more righteous, more religious than those that still walk in the shadows and darkness of ignorance. We have all at some point in life stepped in the mud. We have all at some point in life transgressed, trespassed. We have all at some point in life went against the teachings of spiritual truth. Now that we have been blessed with a little light of understanding. Let us not criticize and condemn those that still walk in darkness, but let us do what must be done to uplift. That is the teachings, that is the purpose of the coming of all the great enlightened souls. That was the purpose of Jesus. Jesus did not come for the righteousness, but for the downtrodden, those that were steeped in darkness and in ignorance. He came to raise them up out of the depths of hell. And who are we to step on the heads of those that are still in the mud? Brothers and sisters of the spiritual path, we should extend our hands to those that are still in the depths of darkness and ignorance. If we can say with conviction and dedication, I am the way, the truth, and the light, then we are responsible for all life upon this earth plane. We cannot reach that state of enlightenment. We cannot reach that full state of God consciousness if we're not able or willing to reach out to our fellow man and to recognize that whatever they are demonstrating and manifesting, it is not the truth of the very essence of their being. There's an old saying that all saints were once sinners. Who are we to think, because we have a measure of enlightenment, that we are better than? God created all of his spiritual children equally. We all might not be functioning at the same level of consciousness, but in the eyes of God, we are all equal. And we must look within ourselves and recognize that the source that is within us is also the source within every man, woman, and child. And so we ask ourselves, or we should ask ourselves, what is it that we're seeking in life? On the spiritual path, are we seeking to have more material, physical things? Or are we truly seeking the light of understanding? Are we seeking to bring forth the divinity within us? Are we willing to surrender and let go all that we are to the Spirit of God within us? Are we willing to surrender and let go all that we have for the Spirit of God within us? When I read that first scripture, Matthew 6, verse 21, for where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. And the question is, where is your treasure? What is it in life do you value most? Is it the material things that you have acquired in life? Or is it the Spirit of God within you? Where your treasure is, there your heart is also. So if our hearts are not on God, then we really haven't put much value on our life. We have put our value on the things of the world, which are temporal. We value, or our treasures, we said, are in our financial institutions. Our treasures are our jobs, places of employment. Our treasures are our homes, our automobiles, our diamonds, our clothing, our children, our relationships. Yeah, I said children, and I said relationships. We are to love our children. We are to love our relationships. But where is your treasure? In God, that provides all things. Because when you take away God from within you, when you deny the presence of God within you, the things of the world can do you no good. The things of the world can do you no good. And so you want your treasure to be something that does not lose value. You want your treasure to be something that is always increasing in value. And so as we continue upon the spiritual path of spiritual growth and unfoldment, our treasure in God is always increasing. And we get to a point of inner peace, of joy, of happiness, harmony. And when we get to that point of recognizing the treasure of God within us, then comes forth the power. When the eye is single, the power of the light within us can bring into manifestation any and all things we desire. When you look out at the material and the physical things of the world, they can be replaced. They can be replaced. But when one has lost the way, when the light of the soul is gone out, and you're filled with that darkness, you're stumbling and fumbling the way through life. You ever walked into a completely dark room? It could be in your very home, where you're so used to seeing things in the daylight or in the light. Walking into that room in total darkness, with your eyes wide open, you'll find yourself stumbling and bumping into things. So it is when the light has gone out or the light is not within you. You're stumbling, we are stumbling through life. We are bumping into things that we shouldn't ordinarily be bumping into. But when the eye is single and the body is filled with light, there's clarity. You can see. You know how to avoid the stumbling blocks. You know how to get around the things that seems to recognize or to visualize the things that seem to be a blockage. But until we can awaken that light within us, we're stumbling through life. We're not acknowledging and recognizing the light of God within us. I want to close by saying one thing. One of the greatest challenges to this spiritual path is non-attachment. Be willing to let go and to release all things for God. That doesn't mean that you go and give away all your money or sell your homes or your cars and give all your clothes and jewelry to the Salvation Army or whatever. It means that you don't become attached to those things. It means that you don't depend on those things for your livelihood. It means that you recognize that the material gains of the world are not the things that are responsible or the source of your life. If we are living for the things of the world, we are living for nothing. For the only thing that is the source and the giver of life is God. There will come a time when all our physical and material gains will have to be left behind. And if one has not prepared oneself for the next level of life, then one will have to return. One cannot advance to the next level of consciousness because one has put all one's interest and energy into acquiring the physical and material things of the world. And yet some people can't even die in peace because they are concerned and worried about where their money is going to go, who it's going to go to. And we can't let go. We can't die in peace because we are being held in bondage by the physical and material things that we have acquired in the world. We can't elevate to that next level of consciousness. And even while we're still in the physical, we can't elevate because we are so concerned and worried about the trappings of the physical and material things. Have them, but don't let them dominate you. Have them, but don't let them limit you. Have them, but don't let them be the ruler over you. Let the light of God within you be the light that energizes, revitalizes you, the light that gives you clarity, the light that brings forth the power of the Spirit that you truly are. If thine eye be single, then the light or the body is filled with the light, the spirit, and the consciousness of God. God bless you and thank you.